Hi all, welcome to my favorite style of session for the HubSpot Admins Hug. I appreciate you for making this your weekly event to connect with, learn from, lean on all the other admins in the HubSpot ecosystem and giving yourself the space and grace to do so. I'm your host, Deanna Giloff. This community is as amazing as it is because of all of you and all the community members like yourself. If this is your first hug, welcome, welcome, welcome. You are in for a treat today. Let us know in the chat where you are joining us from and how long you have been using HubSpot. And to our amazing regulars, I am so happy to have you back. So let's dive right into the housekeeping. All right. If you are here, you've been to this page and you know that those events are here. So today's admin show and tell. Next week, we're going to be finding your ACP with our friend Nico on diving into that and finding some smarter GTM strategies. The following week, we do not have a hug. I did put this on here so you can put it on your calendar and make sure that time is still reserved for you for each coming week. On December 2nd, we have the org chart team coming over and sharing about the acquisition that happened. And then we have December 9th projects. This one's definitely been wanted and requested quite a few times. So we're going to have that one on the 9th. And then the last networking session of the year and the last hug of the year on December 16th. Come join your fellow admin, get to know each other a little bit better, find some additional resources that you can. And then we've got 2 more no hug sessions on your calendar so that you can get those on there. And like we were just talking, I will make sure to get the rest of those sessions for January and the following months on your calendar as soon as possible. If you do miss something, that's okay. We've got a wonderful YouTube channel that you can go catch back up, watch it on half speed, 1.5 speed, whatever you want. I found out there's 4x speed now, so more power to you if you can follow along at 4x speed. Making sure you have those membership resources. Those are there for you. Get your profile on there. Show other people that you are a proud HubSpot Admin Hug member. Those there are there for you as well. If you need some additional resources, you have the ability to go into our LinkedIn group. Those are there for you. Make sure you're connecting with your other admin friends and sharing the information that you have. You don't have to wait to a show and tell to share that with your fellow admin. We also have a space on the HubSpot community. You can go there, you can post about it. You can find other resources, not just in the HubSpot admin community. There's other HubSpot ecosystem people that are really knowledgeable and they have wonderful information to share. Go ahead and do that there. We also have this wonderful show and tell form right here for you. So if you find this helpful, like you think it's something that you want to do today, go ahead, fill out this form, share that with me. We are going to be doing these once a quarter moving forward. So I need to have your submissions as soon as possible so I can get it planned out ahead of time and get you on and highlight all of your awesome. The Super Admin Bootcamp is full for fall, but it does look like the winter is opening on December 19th. So I'll keep that up and let you know as soon as I know. I have an inside track and I will make sure to get that available to you. If you have an issue today, we've got something you can't hear, you can't see something, try turning it on, turning it off again. Bevy does what Bevy's going to do. So hopefully those troubleshooting will help you. If you have an idea for an upcoming hug, no, I do take them into account. That's what 2026 planning is doing right now. So all of your amazing suggestions are on my list and we will make sure that we get as many of those as possible. Make sure you're connecting with me. Make sure you're connecting with Kyle, the rest of your admins here and on LinkedIn. And if you are looking for a role or you're looking someone to fill a role, make sure you're checking out hiring for HubSpot. There's some great opportunities in there and some amazing resources that you can do and get connected with for your fellow admins. All right, as I mentioned, today is my favorite session type and format for so many reasons. It's not just a dump of product updates, and while I learn a ton from those, I love hearing how people use HubSpot just so much more. And it also highlights our very own community members and the awesome ways they are applying and using what they learn and sharing it with you all. So today we are going to make some magic happen with events, cleaning up some calls, do some visual colorfulness with Lisa, and we're going to use HubSpot to do some good in the world. So what more could we ask for? All right, without further ado, let's let our guests introduce themselves. Jay, could you tell us who you are and what you're here to share?
Yeah, my name is Jay Baumgardner. I am here to share a bit about events and how we kind of handle check-in and lead gen at our outreach events.
And Sarah?
Hi, mabuhay. My name is Sarah. I'm calling from all the way the other side of the world. I'm in the Philippines. It's actually midnight where I am. Always happy to join the hugs, the admin hugs because you learn so much. I do rev ops for Foundry for Good. Uh, we are VC that manage. So I manage companies in the VC, about four of them, and we've been having some challenges. You know, making sure that our HubSpot numbers are good. So I put in a process and built some stuff to make sure that we could track the good and the bad numbers and increase our connect rates with our people that we do good for.
Awesome. And Lisa?
I'm Lisa. I'm going to share with you some workflows that we put in place to help us. Primarily, it started out with deals to make sure that we had all our data where it needed to be and it was checked off and worked. And then we also utilized it to help us kind of manage our client risk health.
Awesome. And Caroline?
Hospital after my son had surgery there, and how I used HubSpot to really scale that and grow that, and using all HubSpot free tools. So some HubSpot for good.
I love that. So today it's a little bit of a different format. I did open the Q&A for any questions that you have. We're going to give each admin their time to share their resources and how they solve their problem. And then if you could, when you're asking those questions, just put a little note as to who it's for. That way we can be very efficient, make sure that we're giving everyone their time and still answering all of the wonderful questions. So Jay, why don't you take it away?
Awesome. I'm going to start sharing my screen here. So at Clearway, we do a lot of things, right? Our bread and butter really is live events. We do big tours, corporate events. Anywhere you go, you see the big fancy sound and lights at a concert, anything, that's us. We're the company kind of behind. We also sell all that equipment. So at the end of the day, like all the big fancy lights and speakers on a stage, we have to get in front of customers to show them, hey, we sell this. We can install it in your church, in your school, whatever. But you can't just like go to Best Buy and buy it, right? So that kind of took us to our big flagship conference that we call AVL Expo. We totally host this in-house. It's kind of white labeled as its own event. But the big thing for us is it's a huge lead generation event, right? So everybody signs up through our AVL Expo website, a HubSpot form, of course. All of you recognize this. But the big thing is a lot of the people that come to this event are either already in our portal, in our contacts database, to Clearwing. So like for example, this year, our event was actually just last week. Over 40% of the attendees were brand new to Clearwing, which is awesome because it got all of them into our portal, right? So when they show up, my biggest caveat has always been, well, how do you know who is who on the show floor, right? You need to have like a name badge. So for years, we pre-printed the night before. I kind of have in my hand here, just like a label, right? It was just like, you probably can't really see it, but it's just a first and last name in a company. We spent hours the night before always printing these off, putting them like in Rolodexes. So somebody comes up, my name is John Smith. You have to search for it, pull it out. And it's just like a tedious process. We're left with tons of waste after the event, all that kind of stuff. There was never any way to scan those badges or anything. So about a month ago, before the event, I was like, I need to make this better, but I'm not sure exactly how I want to do it. So I did some thinking. And what I did was I went into ChatGPT and wrote a pretty simple prompt, right? I'm not going to read this word for word, but we use a specific like Dymo label printer to print a specific size label. So I said, I want to create a custom middle card for HubSpot that allows me to print onto this specific label here. it's going to be a conference attendee badge. I gave it basically some rules like the first and last name should appear at the top of the label, both at auto scale. The last name should never be bigger than the first name, right? So I'm being very descriptive with more so how I want this to generate. I told it, I want a print badge button and which properties to reference from our portal. And then I even went as far as giving it to HubSpot's developer documentation on middle cards. And this is a really good spot for me to say, I'm not a developer at all. My coding knowledge is basically 15 years ago on MySpace. I knew how to make HTML, CSS edits, right? Like that is my extent of coding knowledge, right? So I gave it some documentation straight from HubSpot on this. And then what I said though, I want to do is primarily using HubSpot. But then because I know a little bit about how HubSpot's developer platform works, I was like, okay, I have to use GitHub or something to push these projects for these middle cards. And then I told it, I'm not a dev, so be thorough with it. Now, I'm not going to read this word for word, but it literally gave me step-by-step instructions on where to do stuff and where to insert things, right? All of that looks good and glamorous. So there's a whole big long response from ChatGPT. Now, so what I did, I went into GitHub. This took me a little bit to get used to, and I did go back and forth with ChatGPT a little bit, like, okay, where do I insert this? I can't find that. It told me how to build out this whole project in GitHub's code space and push it to our portal. So what that did was once I went back and forth with that and had some like little UI tweaks, I was like, oh, I want a refresh button. I want this and that. I ended up with a middle card that I built myself. So this was super cool. So now when people come to the event, they can say, hey, I'm Jay Baumgardner or whatever, right? My team can check them in using our check-in process, but then the best thing ever, they can click this print badge button and it basically just spits open the badge template for them at our event. Then they just hit print and you're not going to be able to see it because the printer's on my desk, but literally it prints out the label right there. So it's got the QR code and everything on it already for me, and that's straight out of HubSpot. So the big thing with that though, or the cool thing is here, like if I want to change my name here, like just say HubSpot, right, for the company name, I can click refresh here because sometimes people sign up and they work for a different company. I'm going to print this, boom, it already changed the info on the label. So it's dynamic based off of whatever properties are on your our portal per se. Now, the big thing though is I built this originally without that QR code because as I built this, I was like, there needs to be a way to collect leads. So what I did then is you can see here, it's referencing the record ID. This QR code is just basically, it's the record ID in HubSpot. There's no other vCard info or anything in there. It's just the record ID. Because these events are ours, all these contacts are already in our portal. We kind of already know who people are, right? And we want to keep that data private. So when a exhibitor or somebody at our event scans that badge, we don't want them pulling that attendee info, GDPR, privacy laws, all that stuff exists, right? So where this goes even further now is when an exhibitor checks into our event, they get a text message from HubSpot's SMS extension, and it gives them a link to this lead scanner. So again, similar to the badge creation process, I did a whole big, very similar prompt. Looks just about the same, but I called out different properties, what I wanted to use, right? This was for creating a module in HubSpot. So once I did that, similar to the badge printer, I didn't have to use GitHub for this part. This was all 100% in HubSpot. I just went through the code basically and created a custom module in HubSpot. I've never done this before and it turned out great, right? So it gave me all the different CSS, HTML, JavaScript things to work as magic. And what it turned out to be was this lead gen page. I'm going to open my phone real quick and drag this over for the demo. But basically what this did was it created a mobile-friendly page where now they can scan a badge QR. And when they open this, there's the badge, and boom, it scans that. Like I said, it shows the attendee ID number. That's just the contact record ID. Again, like I said, we don't want to surface that info just for privacy reasons, but it allows somebody to submit info. And what they're going to do here, so they enter a lead description, so whatever product services the person's interested in, they can enter their email address, meaning whoever's submitting this. We had 150 vendors using this, all of our sales reps. And they're then able to click submit lead to Clearwing. So what it does, it takes about 3 to 5 seconds. It submits the lead into our portal. And there you go. And then it returns to the scanner. So all this kind of went back and forth to ChatGPT, how I want it to work. But once that happens, then it basically updates these fields on a contact record. So here you can see those badge scan notes, badge submitted by, and then the last badge scan, because sometimes these scans do get updated. People can get scanned multiple times. So to end this then is every time that last badge scan time date field is entered, it creates a new lead in HubSpot. So I'm just using the create a record, a lead record here, and entering the basic info here, and it just creates a lead that's associated to that contact. Because that record ID is coming through on the form per se, basically because that record ID is coming through on the form per se, HubSpot thinks the contact themselves are submitting the form. So I'm able to kind of cheat these contact and these contact-based workflows to enroll them. So again, I'm creating a lead there, and then I have a second lead here, and this is kind of where it became fun. Was I needed to assign these leads because, like I said, a lot of these leads are being submitted by external users. So in this case, we either have internal, meaning one of our sales team members submitted a lead, or an external one, like a rep at a vendor booth or a partner booth, right? So what this did is basically it looks to see if whoever submitted that lead, there was a submitted by box, had the @clearwing.com domain. If it did, it counted as internal. If they didn't, it counted as external, right? So here, this was like, I did not have to do this at all, but there's some Python script that, again, ChatGPT helped me write to determine which team member that Clearwing internal team member was part of. Now, if they're part of one of these three teams, it would assign it directly to that rep. If they're not part of those three teams that are in our portal, it then assigns it, basically, takes it down this whole flow. And this is where exit to the external ones. So both of these go into this data agent prompt to help with the assignment if it doesn't know who the sales rep is, right? So I'm using our products and services that we have entered in the back end of HubSpot, and basically I'm telling it to give me one answer based on one of these 4 different product and service categories. So what it does then is data agent goes through and analyzes that lead description, goes, okay, this falls into one of these categories here, right? So what it does then is it assigns to a sales manager. That sales manager can then delegate out. And what it does, or what it did then, is there you go. Here's all these leads in our portal. So when you click into one of these, it's got the lead associated to the right person, who submitted it, and all that stuff. So it worked awesome. And like I said, I think there was 383 leads at the end of the event. Our teams are already working on them, and it kind of used both those tools together to really make this work for them. One little thing I'll end up with, though, because like I said, I use ChatGPT on this, is GitHub is really used to generate that badge. You might be able to move some of that into HubSpot. I haven't played around too much with it. This I found out yesterday at like 5 o'clock right before I left the office. I dumped that same prompt into Breeze Assistant, and it also provided a full code response and everything. So I might have been able to literally do this 100% in HubSpot using Breeze Assistant as well. I haven't tested this code, but it looks very similar to what ChatGPT gave me. So awesome, and it worked great, and I love it. So that's what I've got.
That's awesome. Lots of praise in the chat, Jay, and some great questions. And I do want to make sure that we're giving everyone some time. So go ahead and put those questions in the Q&A, and we're going to move over to Sarah and let Sarah share her use case, and then we will get to those questions at the end. All right, Sarah, take it away.
All right, let me share my screen. All right, so I actually built this on HubSpot because of a problem that we were encountering with the companies that we were serving at Foundry for Good. As I mentioned, a lot of our sales teams were really struggling with call number health. So a lot of their numbers were being marked as spam, and then it was very inconsistent the way we were tracking all the calls. There's no real visual for the team members to know whether a number is good or bad. So we needed a faster way to be able to see if the number that they had in their call list, in their daily picks, were really worth calling. And we wanted to be able to solve that issue of their number being marked as spam because we're calling bad numbers. And you know how the behaviors of the tracking on our phones, actually, like email, we can also be marked as spam. So I created a call card that sits on the contact record, with custom properties like a phone marker, which identifies green if that number is good. It actually successfully connected. Yellow if my reps are like getting a busy tone, or they're they actually left a voicemail. And then red if it was a wrong number of they or they did like multiple attempts on it, and they feel like, oh, this is not a good number, this is not going to help with our call health. So built that card on top near the name of the contact, so that it's easier for my reps to see. So how it works? So I created a new property called phone marker, as I said, and then I also created a workflow that would automatically update uh, that the phone marker property, because salespeople don't want to update these things. They don't like to update records. So as much as possible, if you can update um, things for them on the CRM, they'll be very happy with it. So the only manual step which I actually rolled out to the team and made sure they had accountability for is really tracking whether those calls that are, so our rule is if it's two voicemails it goes to red marker, and or if you try to attempt on it 5 times and it's just ringing, then go to the make it red. So the workflow, which is this, is very simple. So enrollment trigger is whether the call outcome is known, because in HubSpot also already tracks when you do a dial on HubSpot phone number. It tracks already what the outcome is, whether it's connected or not. And our teams are also good at like making sure that it's really updated after the call, and then it branches out to the call outcome. So if the number is busy, automatically it will be yellow. If the number connected, green. And then I love the go to action step on workflows, because I used to have to type all these things, but now I can just click go to action and go to the yellow marker, and then we mark red for wrong numbers. And then the team also just has to update their yellows into red or green as their experience is. So very simple, solve. The results for us were really good. We were able to filter the contacts based on their call status immediately, and then we had a way to prioritize high probability of leads. We knew what the good numbers are, what they should go for, and we were able to eliminate a lot of wasted dials. So after we rolled this out, actually, our connect rates were better. It was also there's clear accountability with the teams, and it was easier for them to do their follow-ups because they knew the numbers are good or if the number is bad at all. So what's next? Actually, I'm already building the reporting for connect rates so that we see, because we did a pilot. I'm rolling this out to 4 companies right now. So we did a pilot with one of the teams and we're rolling out to everyone. I wanted to standardize the reporting on connect rates and number quality, and then also maybe automation to reassign bad numbers. Maybe it was not a good time. Have another team try those numbers, because if you are the best practice is you rotate your numbers, but if that is not the case, your reps have one HubSpot number at a time, then you can rotate reps, so you can try calling more people. So that's it. That's a simple solve, and I hope it helps you out. um, so my name again is Sarah Medilo. Thanks for listening. I have a cute gift for you. Actually built an AI agent to help people prepare their go bags. In the Philippines, as you know, we were just hit by a typhoon. We had volcanic eruptions also and all these things. So we were really like trying to get help with creating go bags. So this AI agent I built for not just people in the Philippines, but people around the world. It actually tests, even like it allows you to choose what kind of calamity that you're preparing for. So I hope you guys stay safe and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it. Definitely an elegant solution to a problem a lot of people have. All right, Lisa, you are up. Why don't you share your screen and tell us all about it?
Okay. Well, Sarah, first off, I would have loved to have had your solution when I first started with HubSpot, because I was working for a company that did outbound calling, and all I ever heard was, well, you have so many phone numbers. I'm like, yes, and so many of them are junk. So yeah, it really helps. So yay. I don't live in that situation anymore, but I totally appreciate what you did. So about 3 years ago, I moved into my current job. So I'm in-house for a travel company out of Massachusetts. I know nothing about travel. They do corporate travel, they book all the flights, hotels, all that kind of stuff. I have a camper. We do RV stuff. So totally not my world. And so when I showed up, they were like, hey, help us get our deal process into HubSpot. I'm like, sure, no problem. It turns out corporate travel is a little more convoluted than that. I don't know how people even read the contracts, to be honest, but they do. And so I actually had a few false starts before we got things taken where they are today. So some of the main issues that we had was, one, everyone had a different opinion of what the deal process was. Two, we had no single point of entry. There was a lot of confusion on what the source of truth was. And then on the kind of like the output end, there were all kinds of different things getting filled out, so that the next person in line was getting a mismatch of information, and they were doing it consistently. We tried things like playbooks, but they were very, very long. We tried doing the required fields when that became available, but a lot of our fields depend on more than one input to decide whether or not it's a required field. So we couldn't really use that. And then, like I said, we just had so much information lived outside of HubSpot, but there was no incentive for anyone to bring it in. So last year, HubSpot rolled out those center panels, which I will show in a second, the center panel cards with the 24 editable fields, and then also the ones, the association ones. Once they did that, then we could finally start moving forward. And at the same time, I got a champion. So kudos to Sharon, who I know is not on this call, but she is a wealth of knowledge at our organization. She is also the person that puts together the pricing and the contracts. So she is truly the recipient of what sales is putting in. So having her on board allowed the project to move forward. And of course, HubSpot helped too. Okay, so let me share my screen. So we kind of approached it, we being me, I just say we, more along the lines of checklists. So on our deal record, we have these different checklists, and they're fully automated. So we don't have the benefit of a lot of data coming in through any kind of automated method. But what we did do was we put the checklists in place so that sales always knew what was still missing. So we did a couple of things that really helped our visual sales folks. We utilized the colors, we utilized the emojis, and then we also, utilized some other tools like Slack. But in a nutshell, we have a variety of different fields, and some of them, like I said, we've got a lot of them. We've got some of them that are read only, that are displaying calculated fields. And then we've got some that, thank the Lord, we now have the conditional displays. So in this case, we have 7 different regions that we look at. And if Canada is not included in the bid, then none of Canada needs to show up, for example. So what happens right now is as they come in, they may see this is information right here that the sales rep would be entering. Are they in the bid? Are we servicing them? Is a point of sale? There's all kinds of crazy stuff with travel. So if anybody out there is also dealing with this, more power to you. So we've got the stuff that sales puts in, but then we also have the information that lives on the company record. And we've got company record fields and contact record fields. And where we were really getting that disconnect was sales would get so confused when they would get an error message that says, your company information is missing. It's, top city pairs or whatever. They couldn't find it. So they'd be like, I'm on the deal record. I don't see it anywhere. And so then you either had to make duplicate fields, or once this became available, I was like, you literally can update it right here. So in a nutshell, they put everything in, and then we do give them the power to refresh the checklist. Originally, we did set it up so that the checklist would automatically run when they hit save. And then HubSpot put in the auto save and screwed up all of the workflows because they were lengthy. So someone would be midway through and then they'd update something else, and then it would try and re-enroll and all that kind of nastiness. So we did kind of turn off the auto running of the workflow, which was a little disappointing, but it was a lot less frustrating for the sales rep because now they know I'm going to go ahead and run it. The other thing that we do at the end of the workflow is we now send them a Slack message when it's done. So no more confusion on, is it still running? Now, let me see. Okay, I'm getting off guard. Okay. We do actually have, just in case anybody doesn't know what's happening, we do have the little checklist is updating hand so that they can be without question that, yes, this is running. So most of our workflows look kind of similar. They're very branchy. They come in, they have a field in the back that kind of mimics what you see. So that way the field that they're looking at can go to checklist is updating, and then its copy in the background can actually go through and do all of the little branches and say, is this piece of information here? Is it not? So that worked pretty well until we realized that it could get a little bit lengthy. So we have actually kind of split it out into like subroutines. So it'll go part way through the branches, and then it will go to sub 1, sub 2, in this case, sub 3. So the idea is I tried to keep each branching workflow down to about 3 steps. And then that way it kept them moving quicker. And then to make sure that I hadn't missed anything, I put in that delay. And the delay does look at that property value change. So in this case, it's looking at the last branch of the previous subroutine type of thing. And no, it's not really a subroutine, it's a sub workflow, but I just said subroutine. So in the end, if they do it all right, then they get a lovely green check mark. And at that point, then they can move on and actually do the things they want to do. They can request pricing, they can request their contract, they can send out what we call a new account notification. And so this is where the third little enhancement happened. And after Jay's presentation, it's kind of feeling a little mediocre at this moment. I will just tell you honestly. So I found a little bit of HTML code, and I'm sure there are people out there that are just totally cringing when they look at my box here. I know nothing on that front. I can do SQL, but HTML is like a whole nother thing. So I literally found a little piece of code that somebody had shoved into our signature block of all things. And so then I like tweaked it around to the point where it's like, I just asked these people to put in hundreds of fields worth of data. How do I get it back out in a way that looks nice, that communicates what it needs to, and it's not this long litany of fields? So thanks to the HTML, I can send out emails that look a little bit like this, where especially on the actual travel side, it's, you know, much more condensed. So that's kind of how we do our checklist with, like I said, with our deals. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, I do still get resistance from sales. They're like, why does it take so long? Why does that got so much? But at the same time, there's a lot less back and forth that happens afterwards. Everything's being really well contained. And then, like I said, the next thing that I know, our account management came and said, we need a way to show our status, how we're looking for our different channels. And so I'm not going to go like in depth on this one, but it's the same idea. Is we took fields that they would need to populate, because they're the ones that obviously know the relationship. They know what's missing, what's not missing. And then with branching workflows, we came up with, just like Sarah, red, yellow, and green. As far as different statuses go, let's face it, it communicates well to everybody. The interesting thing about the client risk side, because we are very siloed, so we won't see like our financial status and that type of thing, because it doesn't work. People don't just buy a subscription, so our finances are very tied into how you book your travel and that type of thing. So there's a lot of aspects that will never come into HubSpot, and so we had to come up with a way where they could still flag those things that are important. And once again, thanks to HTML, I can send them out. Oh, my bad. I can send out an email that kind of lumps those risks together, because, went through the branching thing based off of, whatever I flagged. And then the interesting thing on this one was that the account management came back and said, we want that alert to go out at 5 p.m. I was like, oh, okay. Got to figure out how to do a delay, figure out how to keep the status of before based off of, what they did. So yeah, every time you finish it, they always find something else. But the really exciting part about it was, one, they asked for something after they saw what sales did. And two, we were able to, like I said, basically just kind of repurpose the joy of the branching workflows to keep things organized and in check. So that's all.
Awesome. That's great. And never diminish what you're working on, because you're still ahead of somebody. So you're doing a great job, and we appreciate you walking through all of that. All right, Caroline, wrap it up for us.
Yes. So thank you guys for having me, and it's cool seeing everyone else's solutions too. I'll bring it on with some heart and some HubSpot for good here. So this, and I am traveling, so this is I'm never a digital nomad because I have 2 children, so I'm always homebound. So I'll try and speak loudly because I'm in a coffee shop in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, if anyone's around there. But I wanted to show the Jammy Drive, which is a PJ fundraiser that my family started in 2021. So we've been going through, we're in our 4th year now. It started with an idea, like a lot of the best ideas. I feel like it's either on a walk in nature or in the shower or in the middle of the night when you're trying to sleep and you can't think about anything. Mine was on a nice nature walk. My son at 10 months old, my oldest son had to have surgery at Children's Hospital, and it was very scary. And I felt like I have no control, I can't do anything. So I had to think of what can I do to maybe help other parents and other families that are in the same situation take just one thing off their plate. So the idea came of, there are children at the hospital for longer than they might anticipate, or just unexpectedly, and trying to bring that sense of comfort and normalcy. And especially around the holiday season, you see a lot of families in matching PJs. So the idea came there of, how can we do something that's a community and that can help both physically and emotionally? So that Jammy Drive came into play. So I will show you guys kind of what I've built here. And I work as a HubSpot consultant. I started fell in love with CRM and data, and then found my way into revenue operations. And so this was a fun way to feel like I could use my skills for good. and really see what can I do being scrappy with, and right, paying as little as we can so more can go towards buying more PJs for kids. So this was all built on HubSpot free tool, and I only spend $12 a year just on the domain. So let's check it out. Oh, the inception here. So can everyone see my screen okay? If I can get a audible from, okay, awesome. So this is our homepage, and this really shows, the first year was just word of mouth. So year one, this was just like our friends and family and people that heard about us. The next year, I started capturing that information and built the website because people were asking me a lot of the same questions about the Jammy Drive. When does it start? What donations do you accept? And just it became a place to kind of legitimize it and okay, let's do this. And then you'll see the growth and scale. It's 2xing every year. Year three, we incorporated the idea of community partners, which actually we're in the process of raising that right now. So this is just, I built the website in 12 hours just using a template that I liked, updating colors, branding, and then really writing the content as I was going. So I'm sure it could have been even more efficient, but it was kind of a fun, creative project on the side. And this year we have community partners. So what community partners help us do is be a public drop-off location for PJs and help the word out and get to people that we wouldn't have that exposure to. So really we target businesses that are local to our area, that are either health-based and or children focused. So that kind of aligns with our mission. And this is just all built on HubSpot free tools. So this is a form, it comes into my CRM and it labels them with properties. People that have completed this form are community partner status as opposed to donors. And then there's all these clickable, the slider that follows you at the top at any point that someone can donate. But all of these call outs, I kind of got to flex my former content strategy, UX skills, and built landing pages with even more detailed information, right? If someone wants to know, what is a community partner? We have all this information here, and this, adjusts pretty well for mobile. There's some things I'd like a little better, but I'm trying to not let perfect get in the way of good or great. And then this is what our community partners get, right? They get a placement on our website. We also added social media, so we'll tag them in our posts. And it's really supposed to be like a turnkey program that anyone wants to participate in a drive, but it's a lot to set this up and maintain. They can really just sign up and be part of our collective. We helped raise, this year's goal is 1,000 PJs for children at VCU Children's Hospital of Richmond. So then collectively we can kind of work together, and you can see a lot of our organizations are local health-based fitness or a lot of children's daycares, because we wanted to forget one day, but they're going to come the next day and they'll be reminded. And so that was kind of like the strategy behind who makes a good partner. But yeah, this is kind of the back. It's just built. So we'll have the branding built up, but for me, I'm like that. But that on pages, and then we also have landing pages, which once they fill out the form, ways people can donate. So people can donate a physical donations are primary, right? And there's all these new because of hygiene. We work with our children's hospital one accept. So that goes out here. Really, so forms. People can scan the QR code on this page. So if we open this up, let's preview it. Or we'll just go back to the live site. So you can open this up, and each of these pages will accept those. It just has a little more information. Pretty simple. So there's a form here. Essentially, people can say a physical donation, that's easier, and then that will go to the GME and then even coupon donation. Those people, rent with everyone. So but they still want to participate, actually they can donate coupon codes, send those to me via this form, and then I can buy more DJs with those financial donations. So then, we're currently in the process of getting our community partners, but we put here all of our a link to the community partner as well as their physical address. And then we also have an online sponsor. So if people want to online and ship it, have a sponsor that will rent us a PO box, or use their filter exceptions. So just a lot of, we hear a lot of these questions I get over the years. I just add FAQs here as I go, and it's to keep it in mind. And all of these elements, of course, like this element gets moved higher to the top as we start the drive, so people can see and have that transparency of this is and these are how much we've saved, and see. We're trying to give people all the information that they can keep up with what's going on, and then behind the drive, and how my kids to get involved, and we get great media content. Imagine, because it's children coming out, searching for DJs, and their parents will to use my skill in HubSpot and marketing to see what I on a free, no cost, low basis.
That's
a fun
awesome.
project to work on. And then the mission too is children, how much more we can do together.
We lost you a little bit.
50 pairs of PJs.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Sorry, I came back.
Yeah, much better.
But yeah, it's been a fun project for them to see, like, and working with a team, how much you can accomplish and do so much more working on a team. So it's a lot of all the good feels with that project.
Love that. Some definite creative solutions. I never thought about a coupon donation. That's a great way to let everyone be able to help out, even if they can't do financial or physical. So that's great. I love that. All right, there are a lot of questions. I know some of them were in the chat. If you put them in the chat and they didn't get answered, go ahead and move those over to the Q&A. I'm going to ask our guests here a question while I give all of you a moment to go there, add your questions, and upvote your favorites. So, and we'll go in the order that you all went, just so that you have some idea of, you can think about it. What feature in HubSpot would help you take your solution to the next level? Jay, you're on the hot seat first.
Oof. That's a tough one. I think the big thing for me right now would be getting some of that stuff that I've been doing, like in GitHub, for example, out of there and like into HubSpot natively. So like almost more dev stuff, even though I would have to learn it, but like having more of that. I'm very like anti-subscription, so having more of that stuff that I have to do outside of the portal into HubSpot would be huge.
That's a great answer. I love that.
Like pushing the, like, for example, the middle cards, being able to push those projects directly in HubSpot somehow would be great.
Love that. Sarah?
Lately, I've been playing around with prospecting agent and customer agent. I think that's a game changer in terms of like reaching out to more people. Um, a lot of thinking and being intentional about the prompts that I'm creating for it, and also putting in our own content and brand information. So since I work for 4 companies, I've been talking to to different teams, marketing teams, our customer success teams, our sales teams. But it's interesting because when you're doing DevOps work, the sign for you that you're actually starting to make the impact is when they come to you already. So when they come to you, when I see emails from them, I know it's going to be work for me, but I get excited. But I think the AI tools will really change the way that we can engage more people. We can focus more on really developing relationships, really being able to engage people and be present in situations with them, because we can identify the ones that are ready to be to have a conversation,
Sure.
and that's exciting for us.
How about you, Lisa?
I know that they've been doing some beta work with playbooks to make them more responsive. So things will show up based off certain responses. But once again, it's all based off of a single response. So we really did like the idea of a playbook. There's something that lets the sales rep kind of walk through things, have rich text for clarification at different points. But as long as it still filters on just one item, we're still struggling to implement some of those that when you still got to ask for a lot of data makes the user interface a little bit smoother. So that would be me.
How about you, Caroline?
My biggest thing I was looking for was, we have a lot of people wanting to make financial donations, and when we take those transactions and not, put in any money out of the core cause of paying for PJs instead. So I've done a workaround of having Venmo and PayPal information and a QR code, and I got the QR code for free. But any workarounds there on a very basic free level of payment tools, which is a big ask because who wouldn't love that? But maybe it is for these small nonprofit or fundraising organizations. So that's something that's been my biggest kind of workaround and challenge with the Jammy Drive in particular.
All right, totally hear that. All right, let's check out those questions. We've got Joshua wants to know, Jay, how many hours did building this take you roughly? And I know you answered, but I'm going to give you opportunity to add some color to that.
Yeah. So I think I answered where it took me roughly 6 to 8 hours for both of them. But my big takeaway is don't be afraid to argue with the AI. If it makes a change you don't like, say no, you changed that. I didn't want that changed. My big thing was always the scalability and keeping the QR code locked. So yes, that initial prompt I put in got me 90% of the way, but then I spent a few hours going back and forth with it, don't change this. Why are you changing that? And then it was also offering responses to me do you want me to add more template sizes to the card, right? It was actually suggesting changes as time went on too. So short story, 6 to 8 hours, but then me being very specific with things, added on a few hours there just to nail things down perfectly.
Awesome. And looks like this one's for you as well. Do you search for the person in HubSpot when they come up to check in, and does that take a long time?
Yeah, so we just used global search. That was our big thing. Years ago, we always used to use just a view for the attendees, but this year we moved our teams to just using global search so they could search by name, company, phone number, anything like that. And then when I was sharing my screen before, we have a specific tab for marketing events. So if the attendee was not, say if they're already in our HubSpot portal and they did not sign up, our team could actually register for them with one click. So it was super quick and easy just to use global search.
Awesome. Lisa, Chris is looking to solve for a full process checklist use case like yours right now. Should he stop trying to avoid bringing in the 10 checklists with 10 to 12 checkboxes and just embrace it? He says, my gut wants to remove the reliance on checklists because you won't need them anymore if you trust that HubSpot is doing the work.
Our checklists aren't checking on HubSpot doing the work. They're checking on the other people doing the work. So yeah, I think it depends. Obviously, it depends. It's probably your best answer. But I know for us personally, AI is missing the mark a lot. So if we're utilizing AI to populate a field, because like I said, travel industry information is not readily available. So it's winging it, to be honest. So if I had check functions in for AI created fields, I would probably be leaving them. But most of ours is just double checking what the human's doing, and helping the human out when they're trying to get something and they don't have all their data in. So, but it was a beast. I mean, I won't say that, you know, it was a 6 to 8 hour lift. It was a 6-month process, but part of that was, like I said, developing it, documenting it, and all that kind of thing. So
Sure.
Can't answer your question for sure, Chris, but I wouldn't be ready to trash the checklist. That's all I'm saying.
I hear try it out and then come back on a show and tell and show us all about it. That's what I hear. Let's see. Rochelle says, this may be a silly question, but how is everyone getting the arrows in the workflows? Sarah, can you answer that? You've got a nice screenshot of workflow.
Yeah. So maybe I can share my screen so I can show that to Rachel. So when you're adding another action in your workflow, you actually have a go to action or go to workflow, and these are the ones that actually um, the go to action is the one that allows the arrow. So you don't have to. So if the action is the same for a particular branch, you can just point to the arrow. We used to have to type this all the time. You know, we create cards for it and stuff. But when HubSpot rolled this out, it was just saving so much time.
Love it. And this one seems to be for each of you. How did you test or measure if your solution was effective after launching it? Carolyn, you want to go first?
Yeah, for ours, I mean, I think it was not having fear to make sure everything is perfect or right before like going live, right? Because we launched the concept of the Jammy Drive without anything but just made a flyer in Canva, and then it's like a lot of learnings from that. It's like, okay, what are just taking notes of all these questions I'm getting. How can I answer that in FAQs on the website and save time? So a lot of it, measuring and testing if it worked, was we saw in our donations growing right year over year, and that kind of bottom of the funnel in a charity perspective. But then too, just our CRM is growing of these contacts we can reach out to. I'm spending less time managing less questions being answered, and tracking all the donations in the CRM as opposed to a spreadsheet, right? Classic, everyone's using a spreadsheet at some point and then you move into the CRM. So that's how I kind of continuous improvement of saying, like, this is working right now, and then let's see what are the, like, a RevOps perspective of what are the additional pain points, and how can we solve that with HubSpot tools or workarounds for free.
I love that. Lisa?
Lived with the enrollment history and the workflows. So obviously LAM test is me. So LAM test got a lot of action in its deals, and I purposely would add things, run it. If it came out successful, I'd delete it, rerun it. So just honestly trying to break it was definitely part of my process. And then of course, owning it up when, it may have sent a notification to the entire company that said LAM test is a new client. And I had fabulous travel expectations, including fuzzy slippers and pretty reports. Because if you're going to test, you might as well have fun with it. But the biggest benefit to me was the, as you're going through the workflow, going and clicking, why did it branch on this step? And seeing the things like is any of accidentally instead of is exactly, so those little ones where you just cloned a step and forgot to change something. And so, but I did ran a lot of tests, tried to break it. So that was my big thing.
How about you, Sarah?
Well, I guess the biggest thing here is the work that you're doing with the people, with the humans. So, I mean, the testing and measuring, you can really have a better sense of when you're working with the humans. So, I'm grateful that in the RevOps work that I do with Founder for Good, I do have opportunities wherein I join the teams for some of their huddles, whether it's weekly or daily, like 15 minutes, and I get to ask them like, how was that rollout? What are the things that you want to improve on there? Or like I've done a lot of like I've only joined Foundry for Good this June, but I would say I've probably done like tons and tons of changes on their HubSpot instance. But um, I get really happy when they come back to me and say, "Hey, that really helped me," and that it actually sparks an idea for them for another process that we can look at so that they can do things faster. So sometimes it's little things, but the impact is actually saving them hours of stuff. When we
Love it.
create these workflows, our aims is really to give them more time, give their time back, and that's the best way to test and measure. Talk to the humans that work that actually use the workflows and the stuff that you build on HubSpot.
And Jay?
Yeah, I mean, mine was pretty simple, especially with the badge printing stuff. Was we just printed a ton of badges to see if they all came out right and were printing correctly. Then I gave them to different teams to start scanning and basically just test them in days leading up to the event. And then I kind of go off of like what Sarah said. I'll share my screen just for literally 20 seconds. Kind of as we built on success was like we sell these events out of HubSpot. So like we started empowering other teams with similar workflows, right? So we have all this like deal data for exhibitor booths in here that we push into HubDB, that we push into different like CMS modules, right? To then tell our production teams, how many tables, chairs, power circuits have to be at these. It pushed to the map, so all the attendee or all the exhibitor data was here. We even built like a agenda, right? So all this is powered by these like same AI scripts and modules. But I think just starting literally with that badge printer and the lead scanner empowered our teams to grow and get better connected with all the data we already had in the system. So I think that was really a push our success behind it. So
I love that. That's a great segue into it's not about the whole idea, it's about what idea it sparks after you start working on it. And I think the group here that we have here, I appreciate you all for coming and sharing. It's a testament of that thought process is you don't have to have all the answers. You have, resources and people and time to be able to do those things. So I very much appreciate you coming and sharing all of your amazing awesomeness with the Admin Hug. If you enjoyed this, make sure you're submitting your own ideas to that submission form, and hopefully we'll see you at another show and tell at the Admin Hug. I appreciate you all. Have an amazing week. See you on Tuesday.
Welcome to the Admin Hug. No flash, just facts and a whole lot of love. We get it done. Accidental or all in by choice. Admin and flies and lift their voice. Fixing fields and hacking time. Making magic with no headline. Power drops gold. Tiana brings fire in a crew that's here to lift you higher. We swap the wins and share the pain. No one's solo in this game. It's the Admin Hug, where legends log in. From chaos to clarity, that's how we win. Dirty data challenge accepted. Portal perfection fully connected. Quick fix queens, work around kings. Custom coded everything. Tabs open, coffee strong. You've been solving all along. We've got the know-how, we've got the map. Even HubSpot protocols up to chat. You're not just heard, you help shape the tools. Admins rewriting all the rules. Thanks for building with the Hug. Thanks for powering the Hub. Behind every campaign, push and nudge.